All right, hi everyone, my name is Brian. I go to Mountain View High School, and this is my project. And this is my second milestone. This is the real-time planet tracking system. And right now it's on, it's tracking Mars, which I'll get to in a second. But to start, it has a whole bunch of components I've worked on since the first milestone. The first one being the GPS module. And that one had a few issues at the beginning because there's you have to use a serial port in here, which I learned is using the RX and TX ports, and you can't actually use the digital ports. So that took a while for me to figure out. That was the first issue I had, and then later on I had to go into the servos, and that was part of the problem because these servos only go 180 degrees, so that means it can only face one side. So if the planet was behind it, that would be an issue. And then the last part was the coding, which involved a lot of calculations, and then going from calculations to telling the servos what to do, and then the servos to telling the lasers to turn on or off. So to show you how my project works, right now I have it set to tracking Mars, and I have a whole bunch of calculations. So the calculations tell me that that Mars, at least relative to me, is in this direction here. That's where the laser is. And I have this thing set up to 0 degrees north. So that's why my phone is here as kind of a mount. And I have something called azimuth and altitude. Azimuth is how many degrees from north it turns. And right now it's at 126. So 126 goes from right here to there, which lines up here. And then I have about 54 degrees altitude, which means if 0 is just the horizon, about 54 degrees up, and that's where it's pointing all the way up there. So I had to go from just knowing where the orbit of this planet was and to knowing how circular or how eccentric the orbit of Mars is and how much it moves in the night sky each day. And from those calculations, I'm able to go to finding the azimuth and altitude, which allows me to use the servos and then the laser to point at where I'm going. So some problems, as I said, was the GPS module, the RX-TX ports was something I learned out of that. Another problem was the servos here, since going 180 degrees is all it can do. So I found out that since it goes 180 degrees, I can just use this one here, and this one's actually upside down right now. So this one, instead of just going 90 degrees for the tilt, I can go beyond that, and this would actually be about 130 degrees right now since it's 50 degrees. As for the future, I plan to add a button so that I can choose between planets. So that right now it's only tracking Mars, but for the future, maybe I can track the moon, the sun, and the rest of the planets in the solar system. And as well as maybe refining this 180 degree system to be a little bit smoother, since this probably isn't pointing exactly at Mars right now, just because the laser isn't exactly mounted correctly. But that's about it, and thank you.